Bonsoir. Welcome to the newcomers and welcome back for the others. Let's go with chapter 13 of The Broken Empire, The Prince of Thorns. 4 years earlier. The Nuban moved fast, but it wasn't his speed that impressed. It was his lack of hesitation. He reached for Berek's wrist. A sudden heave brought the warder sprawling across him. The poker in Berek's outstretched hand skewered grabbing through the ribs, deep enough so that Berek lost his grip on it as Grabbin twisted away. Without pause, the Nuban lifted himself halfway to sitting, as close to upright as his manacled wrist would let him. Berek slid down the Nuban's chest, sliding on sweat and blood into his lap. He started to raise himself. The Nuban's descending elbow put an end to the escape attempt. It cocked Berek on the back of the neck, and both crunched. Grabbin screamed, of course, but screams were common enough in the dungeon. He tried to run, but somehow lost his sense of direction and slammed into a cell door, with enough force to drive the point of the poker out below his shoulder blade. The impact knocked him over, and he didn't get up again. He twisted for a moment, mouthing something, with only a wisp of smoke or steam escaping his lips. A cheer went up from those cells containing occupants, too stupid to know when to stay silent. Landis could have run. He had plenty of time. I expected him to go for help, but he was halfway to me by the time Grabbin hit the ground. The Nuban pushed Berek clear and freed his other wrist. "Run!" I shouted at Landis, in case it hadn't occurred to him. Actually, he was running, only in the wrong direction. I knew the years lay less heavy on him than an old man had a right to expect, but I didn't think he could sprint. I moved to put the table and the Nuban between Landis and me. The Nuban unpinned both ankles as Landis reached him. "Take the boy, old man, and go." He had the deepest voice I'd ever heard. Landis fixed the Nuban with those disconcerting blue eyes of his. His robes settled, forgetting the rush from the doorway. He held a hand to his chest, one atop the other. "If you go now, man of Naba, I will not stop you." That brought a scatter of laughter from the cells. The Nuban watched Landis with the same intensity I'd seen earlier. He had a few inches on my tutor, but it was a difference in bulk that made it seem a contest between David and Goliath. Where Landis stood slender as a spear, the Nuban had as much weight again, and more, corded into thick slabs of muscle over heavy bone. The Nuban didn't laugh at Landis. Perhaps he saw more than the prisoners did. "I'll take my brother with me." Landis chewed on that, then took a pace back. "Yog, here." He kept his gaze on the Nuban. "Brothers?" I asked. I couldn't see any black faces at the bars. The Nuban gave a broad smile. "Once I had hut brothers. Now they are far away, maybe dead." He spread his arms, the smile becoming half grimaces as he felt his burns. But the gods have given me new brothers, rod brothers. Rod brothers? I rolled the words across my tongue. An image of Will flickered in my mind, blood and curls. There was power here. I felt it. Kill them, boss, and let me out. A door to my left rattled, as if a bull were roaring at it. If the speaker matched his voice, there was an ogre in there. "You owe me your life, nubbin," I said. "Yes." He jerked the keys from Berek's belt and stepped toward the cell on my left. I stepped with him, keeping him between Landis and myself. "You'll give me a life in return," I said. He paused, glancing at Landis. "Go with your uncle, boy." "You'll give me a life, brother, or I'll take yours as forfeit," I said. More laughter from the cells, and this time the Nuban joined it. "Who do you want killed, little brother?" He set the key in the lock. "I'll tell you when we see him," I said. "To specify Count Reynard now would raise too many questions." "I'm coming with you." Landis rushed forward at that. He pivoted past the Numban, delivering a kick to the back of his knee. I heard a loud click as the black man went down. The Numban twisted as he fell and lunged for Landis. Somehow the old man evaded him, and when the Numban sprawled at his feet, Landis kicked him in the neck, a blow that cut off his oath and left him limp on the stone floor. I almost skipped free, but Landis' fingers knotted in my hair as it streamed behind me. "York, this is not the way." I fought to escape, snarling, "It's exactly the way!" And I knew it to be true. The wildness in the Nuban, the bonds between these men, the focus on what will make the difference. No matter what the situation, all of it echoed in me. From the corner of my eye, I caught sight of the cell door opening. The click had been the key turning. Landis held my shoulders and made me face him. "You've no place with this man, York. You can't imagine the life they lead. They don't have the answers you want." He had such intensity to him, I could almost believe he cared. A figure emerged from the cell, stooping to come through the doorway. I'd never seen a man so big. Not Sir Geraint, the table guard, not Shem, the stable hand, nor the wrestlers from the Slavs. The man came up behind Landis, quick, a rolling storm. "Jork, you think I don't understand?" The sweep of a massive arm cut off Landis' words and sent him to the stone floor with such force I'd have winced even if he hadn't taken a handful of my hair with him. The man towered over me, an ugly giant in stinking rags, with his hair hanging down in matted curtains. The scale of him mesmerized me. He reached for me, and I moved too slow. The hands that caught me could almost close around my waist. He lifted me level with his face, and his filthy mane parted as he looked up. "Yes, but your one-eyed death offends to the eye?" I could tell he was going to kill me, so no point in being tactful. I can see why the kings want to execute you. Even from the anonymity of the cells, the laughter was hesitant. Not a man to mock, then. Nothing soft in his face, just brute lines, scar, and the jut of bone beneath his coarse skin. He lifted me, as if to dash me on the stone, like throwing down an egg. No! I could see under the giant's arms an old man and a red-haired youth had followed him out and were now helping the Nuban to his feet. No, the Nuban said again. I am alive, Brother Price. And besides, without him, you'd still be in that cell waiting on the pleasures of the morrow. Brother Price gave me a look of impersonal malice and let me fall as though I'd ceased to exist. Let them all out, he growled the words. Nuban gave the key to the old man, Brother Elban. Then he came across to where I'd landed. Landis lay close by, face to the floor, blood pooling around his forehead. The gods send you, boy, to lose me from the table. Nuban glanced at the torture rack, then at Landis. You come with the brother now. If we find the man you want dead, I kill him, maybe. I narrowed my eyes. I didn't like that maybe. I looked to Landis for a moment. I couldn't tell if he was still breathing. I sensed the ghost of the guilt I should perhaps have felt. The itch from an amputated limb. Still niggling, though, the flesh had long since gone. I stood beside the Nuban, with Landis at my feet, and watched as the outlaws released their comrades. I found myself staring into the orange heat of the coals, remembering. I remember the time when I lived in the lie. I lived in a world of soft things, mutable truth, gentle touches, laughter for its own sake. The hands that pulled me from the carriage that night, from the warmth of my mother's side, into a night of rain and screaming. That hand pulled me out by a doorway that I can't go back through. We, all of us, pass through that door, but we tend to exist of our own volition, and by degrees, sniffing the air, torn and tentative. In the days following my escape and illness, I saw my old dreams grow small and wither. I saw my child's life yellow on the tree and fall, as if a harsh winter had come to haunt the spring. It was a shock to see how little my life had meant, how mean the dance and forts in which William and I had played with such fierce belief, how foolish our toys without the intensity of an innocent imagination to animate their existence. Every waking hour I felt an ache. Pain that grew each time I turned the memory over in my hand. And I returned to it, time and again, like a tongue to the socket of a missing tooth, drawn by the absence. I knew it would kill me. The pain became my enemy, more than the contravenor, more than my father's battering with lives he should have held more precious than crown, or glory, or Jezion's cross. And because in some hard core of me, in some stubborn trench of selfish refusal, I could not even at 10 years of age surrender to anything or anyone. I fought that pain. I analyzed its offensive and found its lines of attack. It festers like the corruption in a wound, turned sour, drawing strength from me. I knew enough to know the remedy: hot iron for infection, cauterize, burn, make it pure. I cut from myself all the weakness of care, the love for my dead I put aside, secure in a casket, an object of study, a dry exhibit, no longer bleeding, cut loose, set free. The capacity for new love I burned out. I watered it with acid until the ground lay barren, and nothing there would sprout, no flower take root. Come. I look up. The Nuban was speaking to me. Come, we are ready. The brothers were gathered around us in ragged and ill-smelling array. Price had one of the warder's swords. The other gleamed in the hand of a second giant of a man, just a shade shorter, a shade lighter, a shade younger, and so similar in form that he could only have been squeezed from the same womb as Price. We're going to cut a way out of it. Price tested the edge of his swords against the short beard along his jawline. Burlow, up from Rick and me. Gambit and Albin, take the rear. If the boy slow us down, kill him. Price threw a look around the chamber, spat, and made for the corridor. Snuban put a hand on my shoulder. You should stay. He nodded to Landist. But if you come, don't fall behind. I looked down at Landist. I could hear the voices telling me to stay. Familiar voices, but distant. I knew the old man would walk through fire to save me. Not because they feared my father's wrath, but just because. I could feel the chains that bound me to him, the hooks. I felt the weakness again. I felt the pain seeping through cracks I'd thought sealed. I look up at the Nuban. I won't fall behind, I said. The Nuban pursed his lips, shrugged, and set off after the others. I stepped over, Landist, and followed. Assassination is just murder with a touch more precision. Brother Sim is precise. Here is the end note. See you next time.